Hello everyone, Harry here, welcome back, thanks for joining me again. Right, we're back in ACC, we're back doing the low fuel motorsport races. This was the first race I did this week. I haven't done a huge amount of racing this week due to a very bodged delivery of my new rig, but it's very nice, so it's worth it. Didn't qualify that well, haven't driven Misano before, and the race lasted about 10 seconds. I did finish the race, I just peeled around at the back and gained some SA after that because I just thought there's no point in trying to get involved. So I just used it to learn the track to get ready for race 2. Here we are, race 2, qualified P5, and we got on with it. We got a bit of a better start this time, managed to avoid getting completely wiped at turn 1, which is agreeable, I would say. I think that's an awful lot better than having an early bath. We're in P5, ignore the bit that says P22, I think it was just having a bit of a senior moment. And as I say, I haven't really driven this track that much. I didn't really know what to expect. I've never even watched a video of this track. I didn't even know which way the turns went, so it took me a little while to get on top of it. But my plan for this race was simple, just try and stick with the guys ahead and see what happens. See where we end up. Managed to avoid the turn 1 carnage, trying to avoid the lap 1 carnage. We're sticking on the back of this Porsche. I'm driving the BMW M4 GT3 again. I don't think it's the best car for this track, but I was pretty comfy with it from last week, so I thought I'll just roll with it and give it another go. Did pretty good. I got a nice setup sorted for it, thanks to a little bit of Coach Dave and a little bit of just practice and just tuning tyre pressures and some damper settings and stuff. I'm slowly discovering that setup's really important in ACC. So yeah, managed to get down the inside of this Porsche. A little bit of contact, I don't really know what happened. I was well up the inside and I was on the apex, so I didn't really know. I think he was having his own accident and I was just an unwilling victim. But there you go, that's lap 1 complete. We've managed to move up into P4. Now, I was thinking a podium might be on the cards here. My first ever LFM podium. Now, this was a week of firsts for me with the low fuel motorsport races. Took an awful lot of my cherries, an awful lot of my virginities. So this is a good place to start, considering we're in P4 and the guy in P2, look at that, drive through. Which puts me in a net P3. I am now on the podium. I don't really know what I've done to deserve being here because I was pretty off the pace, but I put a good quali lap in and we just cracked on. I'm skipping through this race pretty quickly because we had an awful lot of very good races and I want to get through them all. So the guy from P2, he's just pitted to serve his drive-through. Unlucky. As we will discover later in the video, a drive-through on Misano is so painful. It costs you about 25 seconds. It's a complete race ruiner. So yeah, back to this race. We're in P3, we have got this NSX all over us, and you know what? It was one hell of a scrap between the two of us. It was out really good, leaving each other space. There wasn't really any collisions, we just raced really hard. This was an amazing move. Really nice up the inside, gave me enough space but just pushed me a bit wide, made it tight. I had a go at getting back up the inside of him straight away. Didn't go brilliantly, I just ended up going deep and look at that. Look at that for a switcheroo. Beautiful, absolutely beautiful. Yeah, so that puts us in P4. I stuck to his tail for the next couple of laps. We skipped a couple of laps ahead here and my plan was just to put him under pressure. I just wanted to see if I could force a mistake out of him. He was definitely faster than me, definitely faster. I was only really sticking with him because of the slipstream and just the power of the BMW. The BMW's pretty cack on the brakes. And there we go, there's our mistake. Ooh, we got lucky with that. We got so lucky with that. But yeah, we tried to pressure him into a mistake and we were granted our wish. So that puts us into P3. Nothing else happened for the rest of the race. I just drove around at decent pace and that was our first ever podium. Thank you, thank you. I can feel the applause from here. I can feel the applause. So from that race I went into the next race and I was full of confidence. Put it on P1. My first pole position in LFM, you see all these cherries that I'm losing. Now if somebody in the comments can explain to me what I did wrong here, I would be very appreciative because I did what I thought I had to do. I'm not claiming I didn't do anything wrong. And I got an instant drive-through for being out of position on start. I must have done something wrong because the computer told me that I did, but I have no idea what it was. So if anyone can enlighten me, that would be very appreciated, because I was pissed off at this point. It was a lovely lap in quali to get on P1, and I've just completely chucked it away. So before we're even 4 corners into this race, I know that this is going to be a recovery mission. So I waited until lap 3, which was the latest I could take the drive-through to take it, just so the field spread would be as much as possible so I wouldn't lose as many positions. And I'm going to shut up now and just make you understand how painful this penalty was. There's honestly nothing worse. Drive-through penalties are the worst thing ever. So we come out in P15, there's P14 right ahead of us, and I was just wondering how far I could get up. We went straight back up to P14 again, just chucked it up the inside. Goodbye, Mr. McLaren, see you later. That penalty cost me about 25 seconds, so there was no way I was going to win, but I felt like a top 10 might be up for grabs. There was about 10 seconds to make up to get to this little group ahead of me, and I put in some cracking laps and I managed to close it in 3 laps. So I've obviously got the pace. Qualified on pole, I've definitely got the pace. And it was time to go to work. It was time to see if I could get through all of these losers, to see if I could get back up into P10. I've got Mr. Yellow Red in front of me there, which is a very apt name considering his car is yellow and red. That's very clever. I tried to get up the inside, but then I got too greedy on the brakes and nearly chucked it out into the grandstands. So not great form from me, really. Back onto lap 8. We get a free position there from Mr. Porsche, who's had a little adventure. Thank you very much. Mr. Yellow Red is getting a little bit squirrely there. I was going to go up the inside, but he covered it really nicely, so I thought, right, I'll go around the outside. Gave him space on the apex, and he just shoved me off the track, which was excellent racecraft. Really enjoyed that. Thank you very much, Mr. Man. However, I got a much better run down this straight, and the move was on into this turn. I don't condone what I did there, but he pushed me off the track in the last corner, tit for tat. I didn't really mean to give him quite as much of a push, but it got the job done. It was effective, certainly.
Yellow flag, be careful.
We gain another 2 places for free here. I don't know how those 2 cars got out there, but I'll take it, thank you very much. That's me up to P9. So, from the drive-through to P9. I kind of thought 10th or 9th was probably going to be the best I could do, so I was pretty happy at this point. But eyes forward, let's keep on going, There's so many more people to overtake. My pace was really, really good in this race. I was really starting to get a handle on the track. It's one of those tracks where, oh yeah, I tried to go on the inside here and he just kind of like, yeah, I think that's a 50-50 on both of us. This was a nice move though. Bye mate, see you later. Yeah, that one before, I think I kind of drove into a gap that was always going to disappear, and he made sure that the gap disappeared, so it's fair play. Yeah, sorry, this track, lines are so important, and you can gain a lot of time by just making sure you're tidy. And it took me a long time to kind of work that out. Brake a little bit earlier, just make sure you hit all the apexes, get on the power early, and you'll gain yourself a hell of a load of time. I managed to catch up with this little group ahead. We're on lap 11 here. That was a bit cheeky. I kind of feel like that was a move under braking a little bit, but a P6 was on the cards. There's 7 and 6 right in front of me, and I can smell them. It's time to go. I don't really know why I had so much pace in this race. Like a 1:34.7, that was pretty quick at this point. And yeah, I don't really know where it came from. was just, everything was working well. The car was feeling great. And I was obviously driving okay, apart from that entire complex, which I've just set myself up for fail because I just said I was driving really well and then just made myself look like a pudding. I was wondering how to get involved in this. The two in front were having a right scrap. I was thinking about going through the middle of the two there, but I thought, oh, that's not a good idea, it's going to end in disaster. So brake early, try and get a really good run out of this turn to get the cut, and both of them just drive off the track. So thank you very much, that's P6. So started on pole, drive through penalty for something that I'm not quite sure what happened, and then 14th back up to 6th. I was really, really happy with this. I was really enjoying the race. This is the last lap, and something special happened. P5. P5 gets a drive-through for track limits. I don't know how much time that adds, but as luck would have it, it put us into P5. So we recovered to a top 5, and I was really, really happy with that race. It was cracking. I did some really good moves, there was some good scrapping, and we got there back up to P5. So yeah, foreplay complete. Let's get into the good race. Qualified P3 for this one. I was car 9. This was the split up. I think the race before was split 3. This was split 2. And we go again. I somehow managed to avoid the carnage at T1. Very lucky, but it actually did me a bit of a solid because it gave me some breathing room coming through this first complex of corners. And the two guys ahead of me, I knew that I could beat them because I had a terrible qualifying, and I would have qualified on pole if I'd put a lap even within 3/10 of my best together. So I knew that it was doable. Just had to get on with it. And as we'll find out soon, this McLaren ahead of me was quick, and he was very, very good. And it was a right old scrap. But this is lap 1. Just always for lap 1, just try and avoid disaster. Keep it tidy, try not to lose any positions. And that is exactly what we did. Half a second up in front, just under half a second to behind, and all the races on the ACC, I mean, this is a 20-minute race, so it's long enough that you can kind of get involved. You don't have to just, it is a sprint race, but you don't have to sprint. You can kind of, there's a measured approach that you can take to all the races. Coming down now towards the end of lap 1, and that was it. We're still in P3. We survived, no big incidences, and happy days. Eyes forward. Let's go. A hell of a lot of race ahead of us. So I've skipped it on to the end of lap 4 because nothing really happened. We dropped the guys behind, 3.5 seconds to them. The three of us were kind of in a different pace. McLaren there ahead, got a little bit deep on the brakes. And then for some reason, P1 just decided that his T was ready, and he just exited stage right, never to be seen again. Which means that this scrap is now the scrap for the lead. Now in this video already, I've had my first pole position, my first fastest lap in the last race, my first drive-through penalty, and I was hoping that I might be able to make it a clean sweep if I could just get round this McLaren. Things I've noticed about the car differences: the McLaren ahead is amazing on the brakes, incredible on the brakes. Doesn't have as much grunt down the straights, but on the brakes it is fantastic. And this will be demonstrated perfectly now by the fact that I got a bit of a better run, managed to get alongside, but look at the difference on the brakes there. Really, really good. So I was trying to engineer myself a way round. I was kind of ducking and diving, just getting in his mirrors and just trying to be a pest, just trying to make it as uncomfortable as possible for him. I wanted him to know that I was there. I was never actually going to send one up the inside here. I just wanted him to know that I was there and try and pressure him into a mistake. Which is exactly what we got when he missed his braking point for this turn and went off the track. So thank you very much. That is P1 for me. P1 for me. And now we have to instigate defensive game. that's where we're up to. Now, I think Misano's quite easy to defend around. There's not too many overtaking places. He tried to stick one up the inside there. There wasn't actually any contact. He just had the accident on his own. I think he got a little bit keen on the brakes. But there's not too many places to overtake on Misano that aren't easy to defend. There's not too many places where an outside line is going to work. You just stick it on the inside, make sure you hit your apexes, your braking points, and don't do anything silly, and you should be okay. This was the plan. So, the guy in the McLaren was undoubtedly a little bit faster than I was. But I just thought that I could probably outfox him. What I'd noticed in the mirrors as the race was going on was that he wasn't doing anything different. Every single lap he was just trying the same move, and every single lap I was just defending it in exactly the same way.
Car on the left.
And he didn't seem to try and engineer anything new. He didn't seem to really learn, which was fine for me because it just made things very easy from my end. He was always trying to go around outsides, which made it really easy for me to just stick on the insides. And this move that he's going to make in a second, he basically did to me every single lap for the rest of the race. He gets in the slipstream, I go inside, I'm always going to cover the inside, he tries to go outside, I go inside again, and then he runs out of road. And this just happened time and time and time again. So, fair play to him for giving it a go, but if it doesn't work the first time, it's not going to work the 6 times afterwards. You know what I mean? What's the definition of insanity? Just doing the same thing over and over and expecting different results? That was pretty much what this guy's attacking strategy was all about. It did mean though that we weren't pulling away from the guys behind because I was having to drive defensively. I was 2 seconds a lap off my fastest race time, and yeah, it was just getting pretty. I was just having to dive to the inside, brake early, hold it up on the apex, all the standard stuff, all the good stuff. But we were surviving. We were still in P1. He hadn't made anything stick, and things were going well. We've skipped through this race pretty quickly. I haven't included the whole race because it was literally just exactly what you're seeing now for the entire race.
For exceeding track limits.
I did get a final warning for exceeding track limits though, and that is important because it meant that I had to drive really, really carefully for the entire rest of the race. I've skipped forward again. We're coming on to the last lap here.
Right, you've just started the final lap of the race as leader. Bring it home.
Thank you, mate. Thank you. I will bring it home. And I had a pretty decent gap. I had half a second to the car behind. However, when you cannot run the risk, if you get a track cut penalty, it's a drive-through. Now we saw in the last race that's 25 seconds, so I wasn't willing to do that. So on these little bits where there's a good chance that you could go off the track and get a cut, I was being very, very careful. You will have heard a massive lift through that corner there, which meant that he was well and truly in the slipstream, and we know how good he is on the brakes down here, and that was it. The whole lead was taken. Now, this last lap got a little bit dicey. It's always going to, but this did get a little bit dicey. He tried for the same move that he's tried every single lap, round the outside, round the outside, round the outside. Tried to get an overlap, wasn't going to happen. I had more straight line speed in the BMW, so even though he's in the slipstream, I was still pulling away from him. And he tried to go around the outside, I just covered the inside,
Car on the left.
and this is where it gets interesting.
Car on the left. Clear on
I covered the inside, and then I got a little bit of oversteer, but I covered the inside,
Clear on the left.
and we made contact. We made contact, and then I covered the inside. And let's not take away from the fantastic point here that is my first win on low fuel motorsport, so that's pretty good. That's another first. That's the fastest lap, a pole, a win, and my first drive-through, all in the same afternoon. Wonderful stuff. However, the man in the McLaren, was very angry about this incident, and he sent me quite an irate message on the low fuel members website, which I'm fairly sure is against the code of conduct, but I won't say anything. Claiming that I was driving dirty and I've got to win fair. Now, I don't know about you, I'm happy to take criticism. If there is any criticism, please let me know what you think in the comments. As far as I'm concerned on this incident on these last corners, I was covering the inside. He literally drove into a gap that was always going to disappear, and in my opinion, it was a move of complete desperation by his point. At no other point in a race would you attempt to do this. There was never a gap there. There was never a gap. So, as I replied to you in the comments, my friend, I'm very sorry if you thought that it was unfair, but why did you go into a gap that was always going to disappear? What do you guys think? Please let me know. Please let me know if you think I was aggressive. I didn't really know he was there, if I'm being completely honest. I was too busy trying to get around the corner without cutting it. But yeah, anyway, nice bit of controversy, but at the end of the day, I won the race. And there we go. There is my little race recap. Now, I'm banging to LFM at this point. I'm absolutely loving ACC. It's such a good experience. I had 5 or 6 races this week, and every single one of them, apart from the first one where I got crashed out, was, yeah, it was a 9 out of 10 banger. Like I said last week, if you haven't tried this yet, please give it a go. You will not regret it. Right, I've talked for long enough. I need to go and get a cup of tea. Thank you very much for watching. If you've made it this far, you're a hero, as always. Please subscribe, please like the video, tell your friends, tell your mum, whatever. Thank you very much for watching. Cheers for joining me, and take care of yourself. I will see you all very soon. Bye bye.